Some people are carrying things they never speak about. If you met them in public, you probably wouldn't notice. They still go to work, still smile politely, still answer messages, still try to act normal, but inside, something feels tired. Not physically, soul tired. And after a while, you stop knowing how to explain it to people. Because the thoughts become complicated and heavy and quiet. You start wondering when you changed, when life stopped feeling light, when your mind became somewhere you no longer enjoyed being alone in. Maybe the hardest part is pretending every day that everything is fine. Because people often don't see emotional exhaustion. They only see whether you're functioning. So you keep going, even while feeling disconnected from yourself. Nighttime makes it worse, because silence gives the mind room to speak, room to replay regrets, failures, loneliness, the pressure of trying to hold yourself together constantly. But if you're listening to this tonight, please remember something important. Your thoughts are not always telling you the truth. Exhaustion changes perspective. Loneliness changes perspective. Stress changes perspective. The version of life you see at midnight is not always the version you see in daylight. So don't focus on forever right now. Don't focus on fixing your entire life tonight. Just focus on staying, breathing, resting, getting through this version of the night, because sometimes that alone is strength. Stay until morning. One of the strangest things about emotional pain is how invisible it becomes. Some people become incredibly good at hiding it. They still laugh, still make jokes, still show up every day, but they're quietly falling apart inside. And eventually, you become so used to pretending, you stop knowing how to be honest anymore. So when people ask, "How are you?" you answer automatically, "Fine." Even when you're exhausted in ways sleep cannot fix. And slowly, you begin pulling away from people. Less messages, less energy, less interest in things that once mattered. Not because you stopped caring, because your mind became heavy. The difficult part is, most people around you won't understand what's happening. They'll think you changed, but they don't see the constant overthinking, the pressure, the emotional exhaustion, the loneliness sitting quietly on your chest every day. Maybe the saddest thing of all is how many people stay silent because they don't want to become a burden. But struggling doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. No one was designed to carry unbearable thoughts alone forever. Maybe healing doesn't begin with some huge breakthrough. Maybe it begins in the moment someone finally says, "I'm not okay." Not dramatically, not perfectly, just honestly. Because honesty can sometimes become the first crack where light finally enters. Everything feels heavier at night. The regrets, the loneliness, the uncertainty about the future. And somehow, thoughts that felt manageable during the day become overwhelming in darkness. Because nighttime removes distraction. No noise, no movement, no pretending, just you and your mind. And sometimes the mind becomes cruel when exhausted. It replays old mistakes, embarrassing moments, lost relationships, things you wish you could change again and again, until the weight of it all starts feeling impossible to escape. Something important people rarely talk about is how distorted life can feel when you're emotionally drained. Stress changes perspective. So does isolation and poor sleep. That's why so many people survive nights. Because feelings shift. Even when they swear they never will. So tonight, don't make decisions about your entire future. You do not need all the answers right now. Just need to stay present long enough for the storm inside your mind to calm down. Drink some water. Step outside for a minute. Listen to music. Message someone you can trust. Stay connected to something. Because morning changes things more often than people realize. Not perfectly, but enough to breathe again. And sometimes breathing again is enough for now. People think survival always comes from huge moments. But sometimes people keep going because of very small things. Dog waiting by the door. Child needed them. Conversation. A song. Quiet sunrise after a difficult night. Sometimes tiny reasons become powerful enough to carry someone through another day. And maybe that matters. Because people often believe they need massive hope to continue, but they don't. Sometimes even the smallest thread of hope is enough. And healing rarely happens dramatically. Most people don't suddenly wake up transformed. It happens quietly. One slightly better morning. One calmer thought. One walk outside. One good conversation, then another. There may be a setback. Then another small step forward. Go slowly. Life begins feeling possible again. Not perfect. Possible. And maybe the tragedy is how many people believe the way they feel today is how they will feel forever. But emotions move. Life changes. People rebuild. Even after very dark chapters. So if all you can do right now is make it through the day, then make it through today. That matters more than you realize. Despite what exhaustion may be whispering to you tonight, your presence in this world still matters. If you're still here after everything, that means something. Even if nobody notices how hard it was. Even if nobody saw the nights you sat alone with your thoughts. The mornings you woke up exhausted, the fake smiles, the emotional weight you carried quietly. And yet you kept going. Maybe slowly. Maybe imperfectly. But you stayed. That takes more strength than most people understand. Because sometimes survival doesn't look heroic. Sometimes it just looks like getting out of bed, answering one message, taking one walk, making it through one more difficult evening. And maybe healing doesn't begin. Maybe it begins with curiosity, wondering, what if life feels different 1 year from now? What if this isn't the end of my story? Because the future version of you might one day look back at this chapter with gratitude that you stayed. Even if you can't imagine that right now. And no, life will probably never become perfect. But peace can return slowly. Energy can return slowly. Meaning can return slowly. One quiet moment at a time. A good sleep, fresh air, a real conversation. A morning where your chest feels lighter than before. Small things, human things. And maybe that's enough to hold on to tonight. So if you're hearing this, please stay.